Hello everyone, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. So it's been a hot minute since I've done a Barbie movie related video, but we're going to be talking about Ken today, which is great. I know you guys want me to talk about the songs and rank them all, but I just don't want to do that. But instead we're going to be talking about the Ken characters from the film. So we're going to be ranking them from worst to best in my own personal opinion. Obviously there's more Barbie movies than there are number of Kens because he doesn't appear in every movie and sometimes it's like the same character in multiple movies, if you get what I mean. So there's 23 in total. I'm excited to talk about them. I actually don't have much to preface this time. So yeah, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it.
You know, pastries and fried corn chips are a key staple to the ninja diet. Helps him keep a keen mind and a cool hand.
Well, I guess you should eat up then.
So at number 23 we have Kevin from the Barbie Diaries, and if you haven't seen this movie in a while you might be thinking like, oh, why is he last? Like, he's a fine guy, you know, he's the best friends to lovers trope, he loves movies, he has a good sense of humor, he writes her those like secret admirer notes, which is really cute, and all of that is fine, but I just personally can't get past the fact that I feel like this guy is a little bit of a creep. Like, he says a few things in this movie that just really did not sit well with me, and I feel like me explaining it just wouldn't do it justice, so I'll just play them for you now.
I was shooting cheerleader practice and look what wandered into my shot.
Why were you shooting cheerleader practice, Kevin?
Look, do you want to see the footage or not? Ah, sweet girl hug. I so picked the right time to come in. Girl hug with Kevin? No? Had to try.
And while yes, that is only a few of his lines in like an hour or so long movie, now just like every time I think of him, that's all I think of, and it just makes me feel like he also like just looks kind of odd. Like, I feel like the animation in this movie just did not do him justice, and so that's Kevin. I feel like in my own personal opinion, he definitely earned this spot on the list, and so let's move on to number 22.
Princess! Looks like everybody who's anybody is here tonight. Any chance Super Sparkle will show up?
Why? Do you need to be rescued?
Not that I know of.
Up next, we've got Wes Rivers from Princess Power, and to be honest, we don't really see much of him in this movie, so it's kind of hard for me to talk like in depth about him. But on the surface, I like him. He's a reporter, which is cute, and I like his glasses, and he was smart enough to figure out that What's-Her-Face was Super Sparkle, but then he goes on to expose her identity, and so that wasn't cool. I get it, that was part of his job, he was just doing what he was supposed to do, but a true love interest would never. I guess, like, to be honest, I also don't know if he actually was supposed to be her love interest in this movie or not, but either way, he exposes her identity, which I just cannot forgive, and so that's Wes Rivers at number 22.
Whoa!
Are you all right, Your Highness? Did you break anything? I mean, besides my spleen?
Next is Prince Liam from Princess and the Popstar. Please don't come for me, Prince Liam stans, if you're upset about this placement. I honestly just felt like he was not in this movie long enough for me to like develop any sort of thoughts or opinions on him. I feel like he has a total of like probably 5 minutes of screen time in this entire film, and in the time in which he's on screen, he doesn't really do that much. And don't get me wrong, I feel like on the surface he seems nice. Like, he's got this sort of like dorky but cute vibe to him, but like overall I feel like I just don't know this man. I mean, he could be walking down the street and I wouldn't know a thing, and so I'm sorry to this man. Let's move on to the next one.
Is it okay?
I'll find out. She's from the bogs of the hinterlands, and she's been cursed by an exiled fairy witch.
At number 20, we have Linden from Magic of the Rainbow, and if you forgot about this man, that is okay, I do not blame you. He's a fairy, which is cool, and he can also talk to animals, which I like, but overall I just feel like he's kind of a boring character, and I don't know, I don't really like the look of him either, and so it's a no from me. Sorry, Linden, but I'm sure you're a great guy. But yeah, that's all I have to say about you, so let's move on.
I can't seem to make heads or tails of this map, Dolphin.
Next we have Prince Delphin from Pearl Princess, and he's a merman, in case you missed that, and so he's got that going for him, which is cool, and he is a prince, but he's also humble about it. Like, when he gets told to bring in those boxes into the salon, he doesn't even hesitate, and he just goes along with it. But, like, overall, similarly to Prince Liam, I just don't know enough about this man to rank him any higher than this, and so that's Prince Delphin, and that's why he's kind of on the lower end of the list.
With lads like us.
What? Hey!
That's for leaving without a goodbye.
Oh, sorry. That was meant for me.
I feel for you.
Alright, so we've got Jeremy and Ian at number 18, and I apologize to the Diamond Castle stands for having them this low, but I also feel like even the Diamond Castle stands will understand this placement. I just personally feel like these boys were just so useless in this film and just didn't really do much. Like, come on, Mattel, just let the girls be gay, it's not that hard. They were also like a little bit misogynist. Like, when they saw the girls performing for the first time, they were like, oh, well, they're not bad for girls, and then they're also known for being players and not really being respectful towards women, and so I'm just like, no, I don't like that. I guess you could argue that they have some sort of character development because they do come back and like help the girls save the day and whatnot, but overall I just personally feel like they still weren't that necessary. The only thing I will give them is that they can sing on the fly and play the guitar pretty impressively, and so that definitely gets them some bonus points in my books, and they are kind of just like a meme. Like the fact that I can't even rank them separately is kind of hilarious to me. Like they're basically an entity all on their own. And so yeah, that's Jeremy and Ian. I'm probably also a little bit biased just because I like this movie so much, and so that's probably why they are even higher up than maybe they should be.
You really understand him?
Yes. Don't you?
No, all I hear is...
I don't sound anything like that.
Next, we've got Antonio from Island Princess, which might be a bit surprising to some of you because he does have a lot of pros to him as a person. But for me personally, I just feel like his cons just heavily outweigh his pros. But I guess we can go over what's good about him first before we talk about what I don't like about him. So first of all, his voice. I mean, the boy can sing and he knows it. He's also a world traveler and he loves the outdoors. He's an optimist. He's also great with his little sisters, which I like. But all of this just comes crashing down when you look at his taste in women. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Ro. She's great. But the dude just immediately gets smitten by the girl that talks to alligators. I don't know why, but that is just a huge red flag for me. And then I just feel like for the rest of this movie, he is caught in this like manic pixie dream girl haze, and I just like can't stand the guy. He just becomes super whiny, doesn't care about his kingdom or his people anymore, and he just wants to like wander around outside with this island girl. Like Annalise would never. I will say though, I did like how eager he was to giving the crown to his sisters. I think that that was really cool, but overall, I just don't like the guy. I also don't really like the look of him. I feel like he looks kind of boring looking, if that makes sense, and just, yeah, he's not my cup of tea. And I feel like just like with Diamond Castle, if I didn't have such a bias towards this movie, he could have been even lower on this list. And so that is Antonio. Let's move on to the next boy.
Whoa, cool.
For you.
Huh?
Not just you. All of you. Which obviously includes you.
At number 16, we've got Laszlo from Spy Squad, and I like this boy. He's very smart and cute. He finished school 2 years ahead of his class, which I think is really cool. He's like your typical cute, but also like awkward and geeky guy, which I really like, and he's the one who comes up with like all the gadgets for the Spy Squad, and he also has a crush on Teresa, not Barbie, which I think is really refreshing. And also when the time came, he helped save the day, and so that's a winner in my books. And so I guess this means we're on to like the boys that I actually like now, and so that's fun. On to number 15.
Sorry I'm late! Oh no, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's not.
Next we have Nicholas from Princess Charm School, and he's probably a lot higher than he should be just because we also like don't really see that much of him in this movie. He's only in like 2 scenes I think in this entire movie, but you know what? Those 2 scenes were some pretty good scenes. He's cute, he's royalty, he can dance, and he's got a good sense of humor, and so that's a win in my books. Good job, Nicholas. Keep it up. On to the next boy.
Hello, Locus Telefluviatilis. Glorious day, isn't it?
Alright, so next up we've got Louis from the Three Musketeers, and I have sort of like a love-hate relationship with this man, so I'm very curious to find out like what you guys think about him in the comments down below, because I feel like he's kind of boring looking, which is a con, but then he's also an inventor, which is a plus for me. But then he said that girls can't be musketeers, but then our girl Corinne puts him in his place, and then by the end of the movie he makes them all musketeers, and so I guess that that's character development. It's hard because I feel like we don't really see enough of him in this movie to really feel like he has changed, but like on the surface I feel like he's a fine lad, and so mid-tier sounds good to me.
So, what are you afraid of? Come and get me, I'm right here.
Next we have Daniel from Swan Lake, and believe it or not, he's actually another one that I'm sort of on the fence about. So for the pros, he wants to see the world and explore. He can dance, which is a very big pro. And I also like his fashion sense, like I like the blue ensemble he wears to the ball. But then we got the cons. So he's a very stubborn boy. I would like to give you an example as to why he is a very stubborn boy, but I did not write one down. So just take my word for it in that apparently he's stubborn. He's also a hunter, which is like just a very personal con for me, but like to each their own. And then lastly, which is probably like the nail in the coffin for me, is that he just rushes into things way too quickly. He meets Odette, they share a wonderful evening together, and then he invites her to the ball, and then the next time he sees her at the ball, he immediately proposes. And I get it, times were different back then, and he was under a lot of pressure from his mom, but like a lot of the princes in the earlier movies were also under the same pressures and came to like very quick proposals, but Daniel's was definitely the quickest. He saw a pretty girl who turns into a swan and was like, yes, that's the one. That's the girl I will marry. Also, his proposal was so lackluster. I mean, like, Daniel, come on, you can do so much better than that. But overall, I do think that this boy has a good heart, and when the time comes, he does fight for Odette, even though he might not know her that well, and so that's Daniel, and that's why he is number 13.
Hey, la la la.
Next up, we have our first rendition of Ken as Ken himself in the Barbie movies, and so that is Ken from A Fashion Fairy Tale and A Fairy Secret. Now, I personally feel like this is a very gracious ranking for him because although he was in 2 movies and did have a lot of screen time throughout those 2 movies, I still feel like we didn't really get to know his character that well. And so then my mind goes to like what I think that this Ken character is supposed to be, and then that just makes me think of like the jock guy from A Cinderella Story, and just that whole like jock archetype sort of character is just not really my thing. Like, I just don't think it's interesting enough. But that being said, I feel like in terms of the 2 movies that he is in and from what we see of him, I mean, what's not to like? Like, he seems like a pretty chill guy. His determination in Fashion Fairy Tale to do this grand gesture for her is really sweet, and how he travels like across the world for her even though things keep going wrong, and also he can change a tire, and so I feel like that's a pretty good quality to have. And then in Fairy Secret, he's got a good sense of humor and can do some pretty sick dance moves as well, and so that's Ken. I wish we could have gotten to see a bit more depth to him, but that was not the case, and so he's number 12.
You guys were amazing.
Well, of course we weren't going all out, saving something for the show tonight. That's why those positions were so sloppy, right, Dillon?
Sloppy?
So I know this is 100% my bias talking by having this boy be this high up on this list, but at number 11 we have Dillon from Pink Shoes. If you didn't already know, this character is voiced by Brett Dyer, and I would just be lying if I didn't say that that has heavily influenced my decision making here. Because to be honest, we didn't really see much of Dillon in this movie when he is himself, because he is also the prince from Swan Lake when they're in their like ballet realm, but in terms of like Dillon himself, he's really only in the beginning and end of this film. But from what we did see of Dillon, I just loved him. He seems like such a nice guy, he's a great dancer, he was friends with Barbie's character, they go out for tacos in the end, and I feel like I trust Kristen's judgment. If she's besties with him, then he must be a good guy. I feel like there's just something about him where I'm like, he seems so nice and I want to be friends with him and then maybe marry him. And so yeah, that's Dillon. I was very, very close to having him in the top 10, and then I was like, I gotta calm down. Like, I barely know this guy, and so I'll have him at number 11 instead. And so that's Dillon. That's why he's number 11. Let's move on to the top 10.
You know what I say to myself on days like today?
What do you say?
I say, Prince Nalu, you've got it good.
So number 10, we have Nalu from the Fairytopia series, and I feel like this merman is just a very complex guy. In the first movie, I feel like he was kind of rude. Like, he yelled at Hugh for flying too close to him, and he just gave off this very like entitled prince sort of vibe. He does end up helping out Alina in that movie, but it's hard to get a good read on him when he really was only in one scene. But then in the next movie, we end up seeing a lot more of him after he gets captured by the fun guy, and we also get to see his more like clever side when he ends up taking them to the Carousel of Confusion, and we get one of the best scenes from any Barbie movie ever with the leftaroonie. Like, we have Nalu to thank for that masterpiece of a scene. And also in Mermaidia, we get to see how much he cares for his kingdom and his people, and we also find out that he's in love with his bestie, which I just think is so sweet. And so that's Prince Nalu. I feel like he might come across as being a bit rough on the surface, but like, he comes around in the end, and so I like that about him. And that's why he's number 10.
But did you find the girl?
No sign of her, Your Highness. If she did go in there, she must be,
Well, I hope you're wrong. Go now. Please, help yourself to food and drink.
Alright, next we have Prince Stefan from Rapunzel, and I have quite a bit of notes on this man, and so prepare yourself. I actually don't think I wrote anything negative about him, and so I feel like that says a lot. Oh, actually, wait, no, there is something. I said that he doesn't question things, which is concerning, and I feel like this was in regards to him, like, just seeing her appear out of nowhere, but then it's also, like, to be fair, we don't 100% know that he was seeing her appear out of nowhere in the park, so I'll let that slide. But I guess other than that, I love this guy. I love how much he cares about his family. I just felt like seeing him take care of his little sisters was just adorable. Their first meeting is literally him saving her, which is just perfection. He helps Rapunzel find the maker of her brush without question, and he's also open to change. He doesn't like the fact that these two kingdoms are feuding, and he wants to make a difference in that, which I admire. Oh, I did also write down that I thought that he was kind of dumb, which I guess is another negative thing, but this is just in reference to him not realizing that Gothel was posing as Rapunzel, but like, I feel like the hair kind of complicates things, and so I'll let that one slide as well. I also wrote down that he's hot, and so do with that what you will. But overall, I really like this guy. I like how he kept his whole royal status a secret, and just that whole plotline I thought was really cute as well. He also does this little thing with his sword near the end of the movie that I liked very much, and so that's Prince Stefan. Clearly this boy made an impression on me, and I'm okay with that.
Huh. Weird.
What's weird? You mean the auto foot washer in the bathroom? It's pretty cool once you find the right setting. My feet have never been cleaner.
No,
Not that.
Next up is Ken 2.0, and so this is the Ken that's being used in the more recent Barbie movies, so like Princess Adventure and Dolphin Magic. And I don't know if this is a bit of like a taboo thing for me to say as a part of like the Barbie movie fan community, but I love this boy. I feel like he's great. I love a good friends to lovers trope, and I just honestly feel like what they're doing with his character right now is just 10 out of 10. I also love that they're neighbors, and just overall he seems like such a nice guy, and I really hope that one day we get to see this version of Barbie and Ken together. In terms of like the movies and like some things about him that make him cool, I guess, well, in Dolphin Magic he's studying to be a marine biologist, which is pretty great. He also keeps her secret in Princess Adventure, and she doesn't even hesitate about telling him about her being Princess Amelia, which I also think is really great. And just, yeah, I feel like he really deserves Barbie, and so if they don't have them get together, I'll be very upset. And so that's Ken. That's why he's number 8, and if you disagree with me, that's okay. We can think differently. That's fine.
Who is it?
Mariposa, it's me.
Andreas? Andreas, what's going on?
I am so sorry. I don't mean to startle you. I am not who you think I am. I am Prince Carlos, and I need your help.
What?
You search over there.
It is the Royal Guard. They're after me.
Alright, so Prince Carlos from Mariposa. So first of all, he's a fairy. I haven't really decided if that's a good or bad thing, but I'm leaning more towards good because he can fly, so that's pretty cool. He's also got a very intense Spanish accent. Like, I know the actor who plays him is in Spanish, and so it's very much fake. But just like the way he says Mariposa is just so good. It gets me every time. I also just love how passionate he is and how much he cares about his kingdom and his people. He is a little bit too trusting. Like, he gets Mariposa to help him save his mom and the kingdom after they've met literally once, but I mean, I guess he's got good instinct because she did save the day, so that was good. He's also pretty smart. Like, he figures out a way to escape from his like makeshift bedroom jail cell pretty quickly, and then he also becomes this like detective sort of near the end of the film. But honestly, what had me sold on Carlos was his love for reading. I just love how passionate he was about it, and I just find that whole thing to be very relatable. And so that's Prince Carlos. I wish they could have utilized him a bit better in the sequel, but that's okay. We still have the first movie, which he's great in and I love. And so yeah, that's why he's number 7.
Sally! Sally! Sally!
All volunteers, report to their chambers.
At number 6, we have Prince Leo from Starlight Adventure, and I know that that is a pretty high ranking for a somewhat newer Barbie movie, but I just love this movie and this character so much that I have no regrets. So first of all, he's a very relatable boy. He loves to snack and sleep, and I mean, who doesn't? Really, what more do you need? I also just loved how great of a friend he was to Barbie. Like, she literally bashes royalty the first time they meet, but he doesn't make her feel bad about it. He just like laughs along with her, which I think was so adorable. And then in the same scene, he helps her feel validated after she's going through some imposter syndrome, and then he also stands up for her after she gets cut from the team. Barbie also teaches him how to dance, which is adorable, and he can also sing and play the guitar. Oh yeah, and not to mention he can also fly spaceships. Like, that's just wicked. I love this guy so much. And then also to add on top of that, he's also got a great sense of humor and very pretty eyes. And so that's Leo. I love this guy, and if you haven't seen Starlight Adventure, highly recommend watching it. Do it for Leo. You know, he deserves the watch.
I'm sure you're wondering why I disguised myself as a page. I wanted to meet you without all this ceremony, to get to know the real you.
The real me.
So we've got our first king of the list with Dominick from Princess and the Pauper, or I guess some of the other princes would also count as kings because they like become kings by the end of the film, but nonetheless, it's Dominick's turn to shine. I'm sure this comes to nobody's surprise that I would have this man be this high up because I love him and his movie very much. Even though I feel like he doesn't get as much screen time as the other Ken who is also in this movie, I still feel like every time he is on the screen, it's a great time. First of all, he's a master of disguise, but he's also honest about it. Like, he comes clean right away and doesn't want to hide it from her, which I just love. And also just the fact that he wanted to get to know her in a more like natural way first, I just think is great as well. And I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say that his singing voice definitely plays a huge factor in his attractiveness. Like, If You Love Me For Me is just such a beautiful song and he just crushes it. And then he's just genuinely such a good guy. Like, it's no surprise that Erica falls for him so quickly because like I would too. Like, I don't blame the girl. And then if all that wasn't enough, he really comes through in the end of the movie with saving Erica even though she lied to him, and then he also ends up helping Julian stop premature as well. And then also the fact that he waits for Erica after she goes and lives her dream and then they get married after. I just feel like Princess and the Pauper did their love interest so well, and I feel like Dominick is just such a great example of that, and so that's why he's number 5.
Even as a nutcracker, you're a thorn in my side.
And a thorn to you I shall remain.
So number 4 is Prince Eric from the Nutcracker, and I don't know if this is like weird to say, but like this boy's hot. Like, even when he's in his Nutcracker form, like I date him. I understand. He's cute. I like him a lot. I feel like this was partly due to all of the fighting scenes he had as the Nutcracker and just how witty he was in those moments, but also the fact that he has this like tragic backstory with like his dad dying and then not just like being left alone with that, but then also you've got this like evil rat who takes over the kingdom and turns you into a Nutcracker. Like that is a lot. And then how he's misunderstood by his people, but he still cares so much for them and is still fighting to stop the Rat King and get his rightful place back on the throne. He just seems like he has such a good heart, and then all of his conversations with Clara are just so sweet, and then not to mention he can dance as well. I gotta be honest, I was not expecting Eric to be this high up on the list, but after I went back and rewatched his scenes, I just found a new love for him, and so that's why he's this high up, and I have no regrets. I very much so stand by this placement because I love him very much.
Anything for me?
Are you kidding? He burned the midnight oil for you.
That'll do, Felix. He's just a bird.
Okay, so I have to admit that I did go back and forth a few times between number 2 and number 3, but I ultimately decided on having Derek at number 3, which I think I stand by, but also, I don't know, I may change my mind in the future, who's to say. But in the meantime, we have Derek from the 12 Dancing Princesses at number 3. And I feel like I might have said some negative things about Derek in the past, and so I want to take the time now to take all that back. Actually, wait, no, I feel like the only negative thing I've said about him before is that I didn't want his doll, which I think I still stand by, but yeah, feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But this boy is truly marriage material. I don't think I wrote down a single negative thing about this man. It is all positive, and I'm gonna go through every single thing right now. So first of all, he gets on great with her family, and he's great with her little sisters. He's artistic in the fact that he makes shoes, and I love that he's made this whole business for himself that's so successful to the point where he works for the royal family. He has a pet bird that talks, he plays the flute, and he can dance. The dude gives away his horse just to get Genevieve's mother's cup back. He also helps her save her dad as well. And then of course the looks he gives her throughout this movie are just 10 out of 10, especially on their wedding day. And so I just feel like Genevieve won with this man, and I am very happy for them. And so that is Derek, and that is why he is number 3.
Perhaps I can help you look for her.
Why don't you stick to your books, schoolboy? Wouldn't that be fun?
Lilac? She never scented her stationery with lilac. It was always rose.
So I of course had to have Julian from The Princess and the Pauper at number 2 on this list. I feel like I cannot be the only one that still has a crush on this man to this day, and if you want to know why, allow me to explain. First of all, he's a teacher, but not just any teacher. He's a tutor for royalty who comes from humble beginnings, so you know that he's worked hard to be where he is today, just like with Derek. But this also means that he's got a brain, which he uses to teach, but he also uses it to conduct plans when evil plots are made against the crown, and what can I say? I just love a man with a plan. Also, just every scene in which he challenges Preminger is just so good to me, especially the one I used for this video. And then there's also the fact that he's in love with his best friend even though he knows that she's out of reach. Like that moment in To Be a Princess where he sings to her portrait is just so precious. Which, speaking of, the dude can not only sing but also dance. He's got some very sick moves, and he's just such a multi-talented individual. He's a little bit oblivious just in the fact that he doesn't know that Annalise is in love with him, but I feel like that could have also just been partly because of his own insecurities and just feeling like he is like so not on her level. And then also just the fact that he does conduct this whole plan with Erica, I just feel like goes to show how much he did love and care for Annalise, and I just feel like this man needs to be protected at all costs. I love Julian, and there really is only one person that could beat him, so let's move on to number 1, which is Preminger. Just kidding. Could you imagine though? That would have been really funny, but I didn't do that, so let's move on to the real number 1.
Sir, the name's Aidan.
I'm Brietta, and I guess you recognized my sister, Princess Annika.
Sister? I can see the resemblance.
I don't see her.
Who?
My bear cub.
Let me guess. Your cousin?
At number 1, we have our resident Barbie movie bad boy, which is of course Aidan from The Magic of Pegasus. I think out of all of the leading men in the Barbie movie cinematic universe, Aidan is the one with the most depth, character development, and just personality overall. Like, he wins, hands down, there is no competition. So let's start from the very beginning. When they first meet, he's got the banter, he's got the sass, and he's the first and I think only Barbie movie leading man to actually like question the magic when it comes about, and I just like love the way he does it. Like, he does it in a sort of cheeky way, which is great. And then there's also the fact that right when he meets her, he acts like he doesn't care about her and thinks that she's crazy, but doesn't even think twice in going and helping her. And so it just shows that he has like a good heart underneath his like rough exterior. And then this leads us to his wonderful backstory in which we find out that he like had this gambling problem and he made this big mistake and lost all of his family's money, and so now he's like in hiding because he's so ashamed about it. But then he also takes the risk in helping Annika and hopes that he can make that right, just again proving how good of a heart he has. And I also just love how he's got this like artistic side to him with like his blacksmith work and this sword that he's made, but then also just how willing he is to give that sword up numerous times in this movie just to help Annika. And then then he also develops a great friendship with Brietta throughout this movie, and then not only can he ice skate, but he's like incredible at it. Like, are you kidding me? Oh yeah, and then not to mention he can also read ancient writing apparently, which is pretty wicked. But I think his character really comes together in the end of the film when he comes back and goes crazy trying to save Annika, showing his true feelings for her, and then goes on to fight Wenlock's giant bird thing and then sacrifices his gem for her. I just felt like the ending was just the cherry on top in terms of his character development. And so yeah, Aidan definitely wins in all departments as far as I'm concerned, especially character arc, and so that is why he is my favorite Barbie movie character played by Ken. What can I say? I'm a sucker for a bad boy with a good heart. And so that's Aidan. That is my #1 Barbie movie character played by Ken, who I would love to marry. But I want to know who your favorite Ken character was from the Barbie movies. Don't forget to let me know in the comments down below. Can't wait to read all about it. Anyways, Care Tots, that's all I have to say for today. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you very, very soon.